Tay sat alone in his small office at Seoul National University. Books about history filled the shelves around him. Papers covered his desk. Outside the window, the city lights glowed in the darkness. It was nearly midnight, but Tay was still working. As the youngest history professor at the university, he had to work harder than everyone else. He rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his coffee cup. The liquid had gone cold hours ago. Tay sighed and turned back to the ancient text. He was translating. The words on the page told stories of people who lived thousands of years ago. This was what he loved most, connecting with the past. A soft tapping sound made him look up. At first he thought it was rain against the window, but the sky had been clear all day. The tapping came again, more insistent. Tay turned toward the window and froze. A face looked back at him, a face that was not human. The being outside his 10th floor window had blue skin that seemed to glow in the moonlight. Its large eyes blinked slowly as it watched him. Tay's coffee cup slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. The creature raised one of its 4 hands in what appeared to be a greeting. "Professor Kim Tay," it spoke, its voice somehow passing through the closed window. "May I come in? The air gets thin at this height." Tay could not move. His mind tried to make sense of what he was seeing. A person with blue skin and 4 arms, floating outside his window. It was impossible. "Please," the creature said again. "I have traveled very far to meet you." Something in the gentle tone broke through Tay's shock. With shaking hands, he unlatched the window. Cold night air rushed in as the being floated gracefully into his office. Standing on the floor, the creature was shorter than Tay by about a head. Its blue skin had patterns that shifted like light on water. The 4 arms moved with careful precision as the being straightened what looked like clothing. "Thank you," it said with a small bow. "I am Navi, a scholar from the Luminary Collective. I apologize for startling you." Tay found his voice at last. "What are you?" "In your terms, I am what you would call an alien," Navi said simply. "I come from a star system you call HD 4307, though we have our own name for it." Tay reached back for his chair and sat down heavily. "Why are you here? Why me?" Navi looked around the office, eyes moving over the books and artifacts. "I am a historian, like you. My job is to study other civilizations before they join our galactic community." "Join your what?" Tay's voice rose in pitch. "Earth is being considered for membership in the Luminary Collective," Navi explained, as if discussing something as normal as university admission. "But before any planet can join, we must understand its history and development. That is my task." Tay's academic curiosity began to overcome his fear. "You study Earth's history?" "For 12 of your years," Navi confirmed. "I have learned your languages, studied your texts, watched your development from a distance. But there are questions I cannot answer without speaking to a human expert." "And you chose me?" Tay asked. Navi nodded. "Your work on ancient civilizations shows remarkable insight. You seek truth, not just easy answers. This is a quality my people value highly." Despite the strangeness of the situation, Tay felt a flutter of professional pride. His research had caught the attention of an advanced alien civilization. Many of his colleagues had dismissed his theories about cultural connections between ancient societies. "What questions do you have?" Tay asked, his academic mind now fully engaged. Navi moved to the chair across from Tay's desk. "May I?" "Yes, please sit," Tay said, suddenly aware of how ordinary the conversation had become. Navi sat down, arranging all 4 arms comfortably. "My main question concerns your technological development. Human progress from stone tools to space travel has happened at an unusual speed compared to other species we have encountered." "Is that bad?" Tay asked. "Not bad. Interesting." Navi's eyes glowed slightly brighter. "Most species take 2 or 3 times longer to reach your current level. This rapid development could mean several things. Either humans are exceptionally innovative or what?" Tay prompted when Navi paused. Or your development was influenced by outside forces, Navi finished. My mission is to determine which is true before Earth's application to the collective can be approved. Tay leaned back in his chair, trying to process everything. An alien civilization was evaluating Earth for membership in some kind of galactic organization. His entire understanding of human history might be wrong. It was too much to take in at once. This is a lot, Tay said finally. Can you prove who you are? That you're really an alien? Navi nodded. A reasonable request. One hand reached into a pocket and pulled out a small crystal. This contains some of our basic technology. It may help convince you. The crystal glowed when Navi placed it on the desk. Suddenly, the air above it filled with a three-dimensional map of stars. Tay recognized our solar system, then watched, as the view zoomed out to show hundreds, then thousands of star systems, many marked with symbols he didn't understand. The Luminari Collective spans this region, Navi explained, pointing to a large section of the map. Earth is here, at the edge of what we call the emerging zone. Tay reached out to touch the map. His fingers passed through the stars, causing ripples like water. The technology was far beyond anything he had ever seen. I believe you, he said quietly. Navi put the crystal away, and the star map vanished. I need your help, Professor Kim. I need to understand if humans achieved their development naturally or if there was outside help. The answer will affect your planet's future. Tay thought about the implications. What happens if you find evidence that we had help? Earth would not be eligible to join the collective at this time, Navi said. Membership requires independent evolution to a certain point. And if our progress was our own, then Earth would be welcomed immediately, as your people have shown exceptional potential. Tay stood up and walked to the window. The city spread out below, millions of lights shining in the darkness. Somewhere down there, people went about their lives, completely unaware that humanity's place among the stars was being decided. I'll help you, Tay said finally. But we'll need more than just my expertise. My cousin June works at the National Museum. She has access to artifacts that aren't on public display. Navi's face brightened. That would be most helpful. I'll call her tomorrow, Tay said. But for now, where will you stay? I assume you can't just float around Seoul all night. My ship is hidden in the mountains outside the city, Navi explained. I can return there and come back tomorrow. As if to demonstrate, Navi rose from the chair and moved toward the window. Thank you for your help, Professor Kim. Your planet's future may depend on what we discover together. Tay watched as the alien floated out into the night sky and disappeared into the darkness. He closed the window slowly and looked down at the broken coffee cup on the floor. Tomorrow he would begin helping an alien uncover the truth about human history, and somehow, that seemed less strange than it should have. June hurried through the rainy streets of Seoul. Water splashed under her shoes as she ran. Her umbrella barely protected her from the heavy rain. Her cousin Tay had called her at 5 a.m, his voice strange and excited. You need to come to my office right away, he had said. I met someone you have to see. As the head curator at the National Museum of Korea, June was used to Tai's enthusiasm about historical discoveries. But this was different. He had never called her so early or sounded so urgent. When she reached the university building, she was soaking wet. She shook her umbrella and hurried up the stairs to the 10th floor. Outside Tai's office, she paused to catch her breath. Voices came from inside. One was Tai's. The other was unlike any she had ever heard. It was musical and strange, with an accent she could not place. Jun knocked on the door. Come in, Tai called immediately. She pushed open the door and stopped. Her umbrella fell from her hand. Sitting across from Tai was a being with blue skin and 4 arms. It had large, bright eyes that turned to look at her. Jun took a step back. It is okay, Tai said quickly. This is Navi. Navi, this is my cousin Jun. The blue being stood and gave a small bow. Dr. Park Jun, I am pleased to meet you. Your cousin speaks highly of your knowledge of artifacts. Jun looked at Tai with wide eyes. This is not a joke? No joke, Tay said with a smile. Navi is from another star system. An alien, Jun. A real alien who studies history. June stepped into the office and closed the door behind her. She could not take her eyes off the visitor. Why is it here? I am here to evaluate Earth, Navi explained. My people, the Luminari, are considering Earth for membership in our collective of planets. But first, we must understand your history. June moved slowly to a chair and sat down. Our history? Why? Tay leaned forward excitedly. Navi has been studying Earth for years. The Luminari want to know if humans developed on our own or if we had help from outside. Help? June asked. Like alien help? Navi nodded. Exactly. Your technological progress has been unusually fast compared to other species. This could mean humans are exceptionally innovative, or that another space-traveling species influenced your development. June's scientific mind began working through the implications. And you need to know which is true before Earth can join your collective? Yes, Navi said. If humans developed independently, Earth will be welcomed immediately. If not, Earth would need to develop further on its own first. Jun looked at her cousin. And you believe all this? Tay took something from his desk drawer. Navi showed me this. He placed a small crystal on the desk. It lit up and projected a three-dimensional map of the galaxy above it. June gasped as stars and planets appeared in the air, moving slowly like a perfect model of space. This is real technology from Navi's world, Tay said. Nothing on Earth can do this. June reached out to touch the stars. Her hand passed through them, creating ripples of light. She pulled back quickly. Okay, I believe you. Navi put the crystal away and the star map disappeared. I need your help, Dr. Park. Your access to ancient artifacts could be crucial to my research. What exactly are you looking for? June asked. Navi pulled out another device that looked like a small tablet. I need to examine artifacts from 3 key periods: the Late Stone Age, the Iron Age, and the early Industrial Revolution. These were times when human progress accelerated unusually quickly. The alien touched the tablet, and it displayed images of various historical objects. I am looking for evidence of materials or knowledge that should not have been possible at those times. June thought about the museum's collection. As curator, she had access to thousands of artifacts that were not on public display. Some were too fragile or incomplete. Others were duplicates, and a few were kept private because they did not fit easily into the accepted timeline of human development. There are some items I could show you, she said slowly. Things that have puzzled our researchers. Tay smiled at his cousin. I knew you would help. June was not so sure. If we find evidence that aliens helped humans in the past, what happens to Earth's application to join your collective? Navi's expression became serious. It would be rejected, at least for now. The Luminari have strict rules about this. Cultures that received outside help must discover this truth and develop independently afterward before they can join. And if we find no evidence of interference, Tay asked, then humanity would be recognized as an exceptional species, Navi replied. But there is a deadline. The Luminary Council meets in 30 days to review candidate worlds. Jun thought carefully. This alien was asking her to potentially find evidence that could change how humans understood their own history. It was both exciting and frightening. I can get us access to the museum's secure storage, she said finally. But we will need to be careful. Some of these artifacts are irreplaceable. I will use non-invasive scanning technology, Navi assured. Nothing will be damaged. Tay clapped his hands together. When do we start? Today, Jun decided. I can take you both to the museum now. There's a private research room where we can work without being disturbed. As they prepared to leave, June noticed Navi looking out the window at the rain. Is something wrong? No, the alien said. I find Earth's weather fascinating. On my world, the skies are almost always clear. They took June's car to the museum. On the way, Navi kept the appearance of a human using what it called a perception filter. Only Tai and June could see its true form. At the museum, June led them through a staff entrance and down to the basement level. She used her security card to open a heavy door marked Restricted Research. Inside was a large room with metal tables and specialized equipment for examining delicate artifacts. June went to a computer terminal and typed in her password. "I need to request the items from secure storage," she explained. "It will take a few minutes." While they waited, Navi walked around the room, studying the equipment with interest. "Your methods of preservation are quite advanced for your technological level." Jun wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. "We do our best to protect our history." "That's what I admire about humans," Navi said. "You value your past. Many species focus only on the future." A light on the wall turned green, and a door at the back of the room unlocked with a click. Jun opened it to reveal a small elevator. Inside was a metal cart loaded with boxes and cases. "Here are the artifacts I thought might interest you," June said, wheeling the cart into the room. "Some of these have never been displayed publicly." Navi approached the cart eagerly. "May I scan them?" June nodded. "Yes, but please be careful." The alien took out its scanning device and began moving it over the first box. Tay and June watched as data appeared on the device's screen. "What is this first item?" Navi asked as June carefully opened the box. Inside was a small metal object, about the size of a coin. It was covered in markings that didn't match any known ancient writing system. "We found this in a dig near Gyeongju," June explained. "It's over 2,000 years old, but the metal alloy doesn't match anything that should have existed then, and the markings have never been translated." Navi's eyes brightened as the scanner beeped. "This is interesting. The composition includes elements not naturally occurring on Earth?" Tay and June looked at each other. "Not from Earth?" Tay asked. "Are you saying this is alien?" "I don't know yet," Navi replied, "but it certainly raises questions." June felt a chill run down her spine. Was this the beginning of a discovery that would change human history forever? 3 days after their discovery at the museum, Tay, June, and Navi stood in the large storage room of the British Museum in London. How they had traveled across the world so quickly was still amazing to Tay. Navi's small ship had taken them from Seoul to London in just 2 hours. The alien technology made Earth's fastest planes seem slow. To the museum guards, Navi looked like a visiting professor named Dr. Kim. This was thanks to a device Navi called a holographic disguise. Tay and Jun had watched in wonder as the blue four-armed alien transformed into what looked like a normal human right before their eyes. "How long do we have?" Navi asked quietly as they followed a museum worker through the storage area. 3 hours, Jun replied. "I told them we need to examine some items for a special research project." The worker stopped at a large metal door. "This is where we keep the Mesopotamian artifacts you asked about. Please be careful with everything. Some of these items are over 4,000 years old." "We will," Tay promised. Once they were alone, Navi took out the scanning device. "We must work quickly. The strange metal object from your museum suggests there might have been outside influence. But we need more evidence." June began opening carefully labeled boxes. These contain tablets and small artifacts from ancient Iraq. Many have writing that scholars still cannot fully translate. Navi moved the scanner over the first set of tablets. The device hummed softly as it worked. "I am looking for mathematical patterns or scientific knowledge that would be too advanced for that time period." Tay picked up one of the clay tablets. It was covered in wedge-shaped marks. "This is cuneiform writing, some of the oldest writing in human history." Navi's scanner suddenly made a sharp beeping sound. "This is interesting." June and Tai moved closer to see what Navi had found. It was a small, plain-looking stone tablet. "What is it?" June asked. "This tablet shows a mathematical system very similar to one used by the Arcturians, another space-traveling species," Navi explained. "The number patterns and the concept of zero appear here, nearly 2,000 years before humans supposedly developed these ideas independently." Tay studied the tablet carefully. But this just looks like a record of grain storage. Numbers for counting. Wheat and barley. Yes, the content is ordinary, Navi agreed. But the number system itself is not. It is too advanced, too similar to systems used across the galaxy. Jun frowned. One similar number system is not proof of alien contact. Correct, Navi said. We need more evidence. They worked through dozens of artifacts over the next 2 hours. Most showed normal human development, but occasionally, Navi's scanner would alert them to something unusual. A metal bowl from 3000 BCE contained traces of an alloy that should not have been possible to create with the technology of that time. A stone carving showed stars and patterns that humans could not have observed without powerful telescopes. A small figurine made of clay contained tiny amounts of elements that Navi said were not naturally found on Earth. The evidence is building, Navi said, looking troubled. These could all be signs of outside influence on human development. Tay sat down on a storage crate feeling disappointed. So humans didn't achieve all this on our own? Some alien species helped us along. Navi's scanner continued working on the last few items. It is not clear yet. These are suspicious findings, but there is no definite proof of direct contact or technology transfer. June was examining a stone tablet with strange circular markings. What about this one? The museum records say they found it in Turkey, but they've never been able to date it properly. Navi scanned the tablet. The device made a series of urgent beeps. This is unexpected. What is it? Tay asked. These markings match a language used by a species called the Zalans, Navi said. They were early members of the Luminary Collective, over 10,000 years ago. So they visited Earth? June asked. Navi looked deeply troubled. They should not have. The Luminari have strict rules against contacting developing worlds. If they did, it was against our most important laws. Tay was about to ask another question when they heard voices outside the storage room door. The voices sounded angry. We know they're in there, a man was saying. Open this door now. The museum worker replied, Sir, I can't let you in without proper authorization. We have authorization, the man said. Government business. June looked at Navi and Tai. Something's wrong. We should leave. Navi quickly put away the scanner. There is another exit. I can sense it with my scanner. They hurried to the back of the large storage room. Navi pointed to what looked like a maintenance door. Through there. Just as they reached the door, they heard the main entrance to the storage room open. Tay looked back and saw 3 men in dark suits enter. They did not look like museum staff or regular police. Find them, one of the men ordered. The alien must not leave with what it has discovered. Tay felt a chill run down his spine. They know about Navi. But how? Jun pushed open the maintenance door, and they slipped through into a narrow hallway. Someone must have been watching us at the museum in Seoul. They hurried down the hallway, which led to a service elevator. Navi's holographic disguise flickered slightly, revealing a glimpse of blue skin. My disguise is failing, Navi said. We need to get out of the building quickly. The elevator took them down to the ground floor. They found themselves in a back area where museum supplies were delivered. A large truck was parked at the loading dock. This way, Jun said, leading them toward a side door that opened onto a quiet street. They had just stepped outside when they heard shouting behind them. The men in suits had followed them. Run, Tay said. They ran down the street, turning into a crowded market area where they could blend in with the shoppers. Navi's disguise was still working enough to hide the alien's true appearance from the public. Who are those men? Jun asked as they ducked behind a fruit stand. I don't know, Tai replied. But they clearly know about Navi and what we're doing. Navi was using the scanner again, but not on artifacts. I am detecting technology that should not exist on Earth. Those men have devices similar to Luminary communication tools. Tay looked at Navi in surprise. Are you saying they have alien technology too? It appears so, Navi said. This suggests that some humans already know about alien life and have been in contact with extraterrestrial beings. Jun peered around the fruit stand. I don't see them anymore. We should keep moving. They made their way through the market, then down several side streets until they reached a small park. Navi led them to a secluded area behind some trees. "I can call my ship from here," the alien said. "It can pick us up without being seen." "Those men knew exactly who we are and what we're doing," Tay said. "This changes everything." Navi nodded. "If some humans already have alien technology, then the influence on your development might not be ancient history. It could be happening right now." "Is that why Earth is developing so quickly?" June asked. "Because some secret group has alien help?" "It is possible," Navi admitted. "If true, this would seriously affect Earth's application to join the Luminary Collective." Tay looked up at the sky. "So what do we do now?" "We need to find out who those men are," Navi said, "and how they got their hands on advanced technology. This may be an even bigger story than ancient alien influence." A soft humming sound filled the air. Above them, the air seemed to ripple and bend. "My ship is here," Navi explained. "It is invisible to human eyes, but it will take us to safety." Ramp appeared out of nowhere, leading up into empty air. Navi started walking up the ramp. "Come," the alien said. "We need to plan our next move." Jun and Tai looked at each other, then followed Navi up the invisible ramp. They stepped into a small but advanced spaceship, unlike anything they had ever seen. The ramp closed behind them. "Where are we going?" Jun asked. "To find answers," Navi replied, "and to discover the truth about who has been influencing human history." The ship rose silently into the sky, invisible to everyone below. Navi's ship hovered high above the city of Geneva, Switzerland. From the outside, it was completely invisible. Inside, Tay and Jun looked through the clear walls at the city below. After escaping London, they had spent 2 days researching who might be after them. "The Celestial Heritage Foundation," Tay said, pointing to a normal-looking office building near the center of the city. "According to what we found, they claim to study ancient human cultures and preserve historical knowledge." Jun nodded. "But their financial records show they spend millions on advanced technology research. Why would a historical foundation need quantum computers and experimental physics labs?" Navi was checking the readings on a small device. "My scanner detects energy signatures similar to luminary technology coming from that building. I believe they have alien devices inside. After their narrow escape from the British Museum, they had used Navi's advanced computer to search for any organization that might have access to alien technology. The search led them to the Celestial Heritage Foundation, which had offices in 12 countries and connections to powerful people in many governments. So what's the plan?" Jun asked. "We can't just walk in and ask if they're working with aliens." Navi put away the scanner. "Actually, that is exactly what we will do." Tay looked surprised. "You want us to confront them directly?" "They are already hunting us," Navi explained. "Hiding and running will not give us the answers we need, but they will not expect us to approach them openly." Jun thought about it. "A surprise visit might work. They won't be prepared." "I can create false identities for all of us," Navi said. "We will appear to be inspectors from an international science organization. My technology can fool their security systems." Tay wasn't convinced. "What if they recognize you, or have ways to detect your disguise?" "It is a risk," Navi admitted, "but we have little time left. The Luminary Council meets in less than 3 weeks to decide Earth's fate. We need evidence of who has been influencing human development and for how long." They spent the next hour preparing their plan. Navi created fake identification cards that looked perfectly real. The alien also gave Tai and Jun small devices to place behind their ears. "These will help us communicate silently if we need to," Navi explained. "Just think your words clearly and we will hear each other's thoughts." The ship landed in a wooded area outside the city. From there, they took a taxi to the Celestial Heritage Foundation building. It was a modern glass structure that looked like any other office building. "Remember," Navi said as they approached the entrance, "we are inspectors checking their research grants. Act confident." To human eyes, Navi now appeared as a middle-aged woman in a business suit. The disguise was perfect. They walked through the front doors and approached the reception desk. A young woman looked up at them. "Can I help you?" she asked. Tay stepped forward, showing his fake ID. "We're from the International Science Foundation. We're conducting an unannounced inspection of organizations receiving global research grants." The receptionist looked surprised. "I don't think we were told about any inspection." "That's the point of unannounced," June said firmly. "We need to see your research archives, particularly anything related to your ancient metallurgy studies." The woman made several phone calls while they waited. Tay could see she was nervous. Finally, a thin man with glasses came to meet them. "I'm Dr. Han, research director. This is unusual, but we have nothing to hide. Please follow me." He led them to an elevator that took them down several floors below ground level. The doors opened to reveal a large room filled with shelves, computers, and storage containers. "Our archives are organized by region and time period," Dr. Han explained. "What specifically are you looking for?" "We'll need to check your research methods and findings," Navi said, "particularly how you date ancient metals and analyze their composition." Dr. Han showed them to a section of the archives. "You can start here. I'll need to stay with you during your inspection." "Of course," Tay agreed. They began examining files and records, while Dr. Han watched them. Navi discreetly activated a device in her pocket. Tay heard Navi's voice in his mind. "My scanner detects alien technology behind that locked cabinet on the far wall." June kept Dr. Han talking about legitimate archaeological projects, while Tay and Navi worked their way closer to the cabinet. Navi pretended to drop something, and while bending to pick it up, pressed a button on another hidden device. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered and went out. Red emergency lights came on seconds later. "What happened?" Dr. Han asked, looking alarmed. "Security system activation," announced a computerized voice over speakers. "All personnel proceed to safety zones." In the confusion, Navi moved quickly to the locked cabinet and used a small tool to open it. Inside were objects that clearly did not look like they were made on Earth. Communication devices with strange symbols, data storage units with no visible connectors, and a large book with a metallic cover. "What are you doing?" Dr. Han demanded, seeing Navi at the open cabinet. "Those are restricted materials." Jun moved to block him. "We know what your organization really does, Dr. Han. You've been in contact with aliens." The man's face changed from confusion to anger. "You're not really inspectors." "No," Tay said, joining them. "But we are concerned about Earth's future." Navi had opened the book and was scanning its pages quickly. "This is a contact log. It records first communication with a Luminari splinter group in the year 1947. "Almost 80 years, Tay said in surprise. "Aliens have been in contact with humans for that long?" Dr. Han stopped trying to get past Jun. "Who are you people? Are you with the government?" "I am with the Luminari Collective," Navi said, dropping the human disguise for a moment to reveal her true form. "The official Luminari Collective, not the dissenters who have been illegally sharing technology with your organization." Dr. Han's eyes widened in recognition. "You're one of the regulators, the ones who don't share." "What do you mean?" Tay asked. "The first visitors came offering gifts," Dr. Han explained, his voice bitter. "Advanced science in exchange for cultural artifacts and genetic samples, a fair trade. But your faction, the Luminari Collective, you want to judge us worthy first." Navi looked troubled. "The dissenters. I should have known." She turned to Tay and Jun. "A group that broke away from the collective decades ago. They believe in sharing technology with developing worlds, regardless of the consequences. They've helped us," Dr. Han insisted. "Medicines, clean energy research, communications, all without your condescending evaluation process." An alarm began blaring. On security screens mounted on the wall, they could see armed security guards moving toward the archives. "We need to leave," June urged. Navi quickly gathered evidence from the cabinet. "This is enough to prove to the Council that Earth itself isn't responsible for the contamination. The dissenters acted without humanity's knowledge or consent. What does that mean for Earth's application?" Tay asked as they moved toward an emergency exit. It means your evaluation can proceed fairly, Navi explained. But we need to present this evidence quickly. The council meets in just 2 weeks. As they rushed through a maintenance tunnel, Dr. Han called after them. They won't let you leave. The dissenters have people everywhere. Jun looked back at him. You've been helping aliens influence human development for decades. Why? Because they offered partnership instead of judgment, he replied. Can your collective promise the same? The question hung in the air as they escaped into a service corridor. Navi led them to a freight elevator that took them to ground level. They slipped out a side door and disappeared into the crowded streets of Geneva. Now what? Jun asked as they hurried away from the building. Now we prepare for the most important meeting in human history, Navi replied. The Luminary Council will need to hear directly from humans about what has happened. Tay looked confused. You mean us? We're going to speak to this alien council? Navi nodded. Yes. You and Jun will be the first humans to address the Luminary High Council. The future of Earth depends on what you say. Tay and Jun stood at the large viewing window of Navi's spaceship. Earth looked beautiful from this distance, a blue and white sphere against the blackness of space. They had left the planet 2 hours ago, rising through the atmosphere so quickly that neither human had felt more than a slight pressure. I never imagined I would see Earth like this, Jun whispered. She pressed her hand against the clear material of the window. Tay nodded. Everything we've ever known is down there. All of human history happened on that small ball. Yet your achievements remain remarkable, Navi said, joining them at the window. No matter what the council decides. After escaping Geneva, they had spent 3 days preparing for the meeting with the Luminary High Council. They had gathered all their evidence about the dissenters and their unauthorized contact with certain humans. The data from the Celestial Heritage Foundation proved that this secret sharing of technology had been going on for decades. Are you both ready? Navi asked gently. The council is waiting. Jun took a deep breath. As ready as we can be to meet a group of aliens who will decide the fate of our planet. Remember what we practiced, Tay said to his cousin. We need to show them that humans as a whole should not be punished for the actions of a small group who accepted help from the dissenters. Navi led them from the viewing area to a circular room at the center of the ship. The walls seemed to shift between solid and liquid states. As they entered, the room darkened. The council members are not physically present, Navi explained. They will appear as projections from across the galaxy. The room suddenly filled with light. 7 tall blue figures appeared in a semicircle. They looked similar to Navi, but taller, with more complex patterns on their skin. Each had 4 arms, but their faces looked older and wiser. The central figure spoke first. Its voice seemed to come from inside Tay and Jun's minds rather than through their ears. Scholar Navi, you have requested this emergency meeting regarding Earth's evaluation. We recognize the humans Tay and Jun as official representatives of Earth. Navi bowed deeply. Honored Council, I present evidence of dissenter interference with Earth's development. This occurred without the knowledge or consent of humanity as a whole, in direct violation of our most sacred laws. For the next hour, Navi showed the Council everything they had discovered. The ancient artifacts with suspicious properties, the documents from the Celestial Heritage Foundation, the records of contact dating back to 1947. Throughout the presentation, Tay and Jun stood quietly, watching the council members' faces. The alien expressions were hard to read, but they seemed troubled by what they were seeing. When Navi finished, the council members spoke among themselves in a language Tay and Jun couldn't understand. Finally, the central figure addressed them directly. Humans of Earth, this discovery deeply concerns us. The dissenters have clearly violated our most important rule by interfering with your natural development. Under normal circumstances, this would disqualify Earth from joining the collective until all outside influences could be removed, and your civilization allowed to develop naturally for at least 5 more centuries. Jun felt her heart sink. 500 years. Nobody she knew would live to see Earth join the galactic community. However, the council leader continued, these circumstances are not normal. Navi has shown that despite dissenter interference, most human advancement appears to be your own achievement. The dissenters contacted only a small number of humans, not your entire species. Tay stepped forward. If I may speak? The council leader nodded, and Tay continued. Honored council, throughout human history, we have faced many outside influences. Different human cultures have shared ideas, technologies, and challenges with each other. What makes humans special is not that we develop in isolation, but how we adapt and build upon what we encounter. June joined him. Our strength comes from diversity and adaptation. Even with the dissenters' interference, the path we've taken remains uniquely human. We didn't choose to be contacted, but we made our own decisions about how to use what was shared. The council members looked at each other. The central figure spoke again. You make an interesting point. We will need time to consider this unusual situation. Please wait while we deliberate. The projections faded, leaving Tay, June, and Navi alone in the dimly lit room. What happens now? June asked. We wait, Navi replied. It could take hours or days before they reach a decision. But it was only 15 minutes later when the council reappeared, their expressions impossible for the humans to read. We have reached our decision, the leader announced. The Luminari Collective acknowledges that while dissenter interference occurred, the fundamental character and achievements of humanity remain your own. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the collective, with full integration to occur gradually over 50 years. Tay and June looked at each other in shock and joy. It was better than they had hoped for. Additionally, the council leader continued, we recognize that humans now possess knowledge of interstellar civilization that cannot be undone. Rather than attempt to erase this awareness, we have decided to appoint Scholar Navi as permanent ambassador to Earth, tasked with guiding your species through integration while preserving your cultural independence. Navi's eyes widened in surprise. This was clearly unexpected. This decision was not made lightly, another council member added. But your species has demonstrated something rare among developing civilizations, the ability to face uncomfortable truths about your own history and still move forward with wisdom. This quality, more than any technological achievement, makes humanity valuable to the collective. After the council disconnected, the three of them stood in silence for a moment. Finally, Navi spoke. It seems I will be staying on Earth for a long time. Jun smiled. You'll need guides who understand both human history and the truth about our past. And a proper office at the university. Tay added with a grin. Though maybe this time with a door instead of requiring visitors to hover outside the window. As they returned to the viewing deck to watch Earth, Navi looked thoughtful. There is something I never told you, the alien admitted. In all the civilizations I've studied, humans are the only ones whose history celebrates success more than it mourns failure. Other species record their mistakes to avoid repeating them. Humans record their victories to inspire more achievement. And that good or bad? June asked. Neither. It is simply human, Navi replied. And perhaps that optimism is exactly what the galaxy needs right now. Tay looked at his home planet turning slowly below them. So the alien who knew too much about human history still had much to learn, Navi finished. As do we all. As they prepared to return to Earth, Tay thought about how their understanding of human history had changed forever. They had learned that while some outside influence had occurred, the true strength of humanity came from within. And now, that strength would take them to the stars. What happens next? June asked as the ship began its descent back to Earth. Everything, Navi replied. Your world will begin a new chapter, and I will be honored to help write it with you. As Earth grew larger in the viewing window, Tay felt a sense of both ending and beginning. The search for the truth about human history was over. But humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. The end